Donnie,
Yes.
what are you doing?
Man, I'm trying to find out what this whole building is. This looks like an old hotel or motel or something.
We're in Florence, South Carolina at the Flea Market. And it's real hot today, so it's a little deserted. But every time we come down here, we see this building. It's really interesting. It looks like it was an old hotel. And it would be actually a motel, Donnie. Do you know what the difference between a hotel and a motel is?
One has strings and the other has strings.
No, it has nothing to do with it. So a hotel is in town, you walk up to it. A motel is a motor hotel, you drive up to it. So this one's outside of town, so this would have been a motel. What do you think about that?
About the same thing, strings and strings.
Why do you think this is a motel?
You look, you got a door and a window, and 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 a door and a window. I think it was a hotel.
I think you might be onto something. Look at the roof. It's got a tin roof. And then they have put this little porch thing on the front of it that's been added. And if you look at the block construction, it's all squared up, like they didn't stagger the blocks. So that ought to tell us if we find a picture.
I don't think that end was on there. See where the block stopped? I think that end wasn't there.
Oh, this piece right here?
You can see even where they added the concrete on the front. I don't think that was there.
Yeah, look at the little concrete porch on all of it. So there's a concrete steps that's on top of a cinder block.
That's a truck coming.
And then what would you say those cinder blocks are? Aren't they 16 inches?
See, them are a lot wider than the regular one.
Yeah, that one has a piece added.
Yeah.
Maybe that was added in or something.
16. Yeah, they should be 8 by 8 by 16. That's probably about right.
All right.
And they got a big concrete stoop underneath the window.
Yeah. Yeah, big heavy concrete seal.
There's them little small windows too.
And the windows are 12 pane windows.
That was probably the bathroom there.
Yeah. So we're just trying to figure out what's going on here and then see if we can find a picture of it if this was an old hotel. Now, we're right here by the road. So we are, how far are we to this road, Donnie?
100 foot. 50-foot extension cord wouldn't get you there.
Yeah, 80 to 100 feet, I would guesstimate.
Well, we're 20 foot from that building. So we're 100 foot off the road.
About 100 foot off the road, but if you look, there is an entrance right there. As if that would have been the entrance to this at some point.
Well, there's another one right there at the end of it too.
Yeah.
So
we're gonna walk around the back of it and look and see if we can figure anything out there. Look at this wall here. I mean, this one or two of the spots are kind of like the roof's higher. So the roof breaks and goes higher, but if you look, the building's the same. It's all one building.
Metal's the same too.
Old tin roof. So we're here at the flea market. They've got all of these metal buildings that they've added at some point, like in maybe the kind of looks like the 70s or 80s.
You see that?
Oh yeah,
underneath
that's asphalt under the tin. So the tin was added at some point.
Yeah.
And it looks to me like the porch was added. Can we tell if that was just tacked on, or is that part of the original structure?
Probably part of the original. I mean, there ain't much holding it though.
Yeah. All right, let's walk around to the back and see what we got back here. All right, so they've built a lot of this up. So this is like a little restaurant that they've added on, obviously. But you can see the original. This is the back side of that building we were just looking at. And look at the cinder blocks, Donnie. They're staggered. So I don't know really. It's just hard to tell what happened here. It looks like it's been built onto a bunch of times.
That looks like an old bathhouse there. Old bathroom.
Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of hard to tell what's going on. We asked somebody and they were like, yeah, it was a hotel and there used to be a bunch of other buildings out through here, but we don't know I don't know if that's true or not.
That square there looks remarkably like somebody cut in the air conditioner.
Yeah, it looks like air conditioner to me. But don't you think it's weird that the bricks, the blocks are staggered in the back, but in the front they're on top of each other?
Yeah.
Almost like the front was done at a different time. It was like redone or something.
Maybe. It might have.
Maybe it looked different.
That might not have actually been block.
Yeah.
It could have just been a fascia.
And then stuff like this, where it's obviously been added, you know, so they just built onto it over the years. And of course, now it's a flea market. But what we're saying is, what was it before it was the flea market? The front of it obviously looks set up to be a hotel.
This
motel.
could have been a eating joint. They probably had eating joints.
Maybe there was a restaurant at the motel and a separate bathroom or something.
Maybe.
Okay, so here's the back of where we were just looking. Well, I guess the end down there was, but yeah, they have these big concrete. Is that concrete?
Yeah.
Yeah. So they have these big concrete. They're not lintels; they're sills. Is it a sill? Sills, window sills. Yeah, I don't know, man. It's just.
Look at what they did to keep the power line off the top of it.
Yeah.
Right there tells you how old it is.
What?
Old cast iron pipe.
What's that tell us? So that's PVC.
That's cast. That's some old stuff there. That's leaded in.
Mm-hmm.
There's a water line. Someone's connected to metal.
Good eye.
That's some old stuff there. And all the bathrooms look like it was right there. See how they all line up.
Oh, yep. Man, Donnie, you got a good eye for this stuff. Yeah, look at the wall too.
Yeah.
It's got a pipe and then a drain. Pipe and a drain. Drain and a pipe. Pipe and a drain. Okay.
That's the main stack there. Hotel.
The back's been added on here. So there's a lot of additions, it looks like. It's like all pieced together.
But this whole corner was added. It wasn't tied in there. They should
Yeah.
have finger jointed them.
Yeah, if they build it at the same time, you think?
Yep.
Look at the top too. It's got this, it's got the old siding, but the roof,
That's not old siding. That's cardboard siding.
I mean, yeah, it's newer siding. The roof, if you look at how the roof is done, you see the shingles?
Yeah.
So there's shingles. Are there shingles on this one?
Yes.
Are those shingles or
Yes.
or paper?
The shingle. You can see the split in them right there. There and there.
Okay, yep. So it's 3-tab shingles. And look at the roof up there, Donnie. That almost looks like something that was done later. Look how, because it's crappy. Let's see if this is any better though.
That's my old stuff.
Maybe that's how it was done back then.
I
Okay.
think that's the way it was done because when they put that 2x4 out there on the end, that's just for looks.
I guess we could look at the back of it right there and see if it matches the back of it here. So they have this sill, this plate here that they've finger jointed the little rafters through. Is it the same?
Don't go right there. There's a big hornet's nest and it's live.
You're ruining all our fun, Donnie. We got to see that now. I guess we can just look at this one over here again. We're trying to figure this all out. That's a little different, but it's basically the same thing.
Yeah, that's board back where that's
Yeah.
plywood.
Okay.
And this roof is different.
So we're down here at one end, and this has just been added on. And look how the brick, we're on the front again, look how the brick is staggered. So that doesn't seem to be from the same time period as the piece down there that has the block all straight. I wonder if they made the block straight because they've got the doors and the windows to contend with.
Block is stacked.
Oh, the block blocks staggered there. Okay. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, it's different. Hey, look at where it's bumped out. Look how it's thicker. It's been redone. See what I'm saying? The front of that has been added in front of the original. So the original building.
Look there. They busted that brick out trying to put that 2x4 in.
Yeah, because they added the porch afterwards. Okay, so
This brick above the window. I mean above the doors.
let's see if this gentleman will let us go in one of the rooms. The Golden Girls.
Yeah, back in the day.
Yeah, that. I talked to somebody over there the other week, and they said these things was all over the place.
Oh, they were? Okay.
They said, but I looked on satellite trying to find them. Can't see.
So you probably told a lot of diamonds was taken out over here, straight check, because a lot of property go all the way back there, So evidently probably was one back in the day, way back there.
Check out the bricks over the door. And it's like that on several of them. That's interesting. All right, so we're back here at the front, and we're trying to figure out why that one part's bumped out. It kind of looks like it was all just built at different times or something. I don't know.
Yeah,
But
half of it is straight up and down like this, and the other half is not.
look what we got going on here, though. So this is out in front, but what is that? That's blocked.
Behind it, yeah.
Why is there a... I just can't figure out what they're doing.
Well, that's a little 4-inch block.
Yeah.
They got something else behind it.
And trying to see how thick the doors are and stuff. All right. So the reason we're going through all of this, folks, is because I found a picture of a motel from back in the day right here on this spot at this same address. And so we're trying to decide if it's the same place. Mainly because of the entrance there. Right over there's the cars pulling in. And where this is sitting off the road, and it's the only thing around here that looks like a motel, and it's this exact address. And back in the day, it would have been way out of town, 4 or 5 miles out of town, on the side of the road at an intersection, and that's where we're at. So we're trying to decide if this photo that we found is of this same place. So I'm gonna put up the photo, and you tell me what you think. Yeah, that's got beadboard on it.
And it's got an access port.
Access point. Yeah. Okay, so I'll show you the picture, and then you tell me what you think. Okay, folks, I've been trying to figure this out. Now, one thing to keep in mind is that Florence, South Carolina, is about an hour's drive from Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, which is a big vacation spot, especially back in the 50s and the 60s. Well, even up into the 90s. There's still a lot of people down there, but it's not what it once was. So this highway that Flea Market is on the way to Myrtle Beach. So there's actually lots of hotels. So I was thinking, there's not going to be a ton of hotels. It'll be easy to figure out. Well, I'm kind of wrong. There's a bunch of hotels. So this is on Highway 76 and Highway 301. So first I thought it was this place. So I was thinking that it's this building that's been rejiggered a little bit, like that they bumped this out or something, and then they bumped this out or something. And that's why I was looking at it, trying to figure out if they had added things on, how the roof was done, if there were shingles under the roof, because I was trying to figure out if it was actually what's left of this hotel, and maybe they had knocked that part down or something. And then I was asking Donnie, how far back from the road do you figure it is? Because here's the road. So I thought maybe this is that entrance we were looking at. You kind of go down in there, It's not quite right, though. So this is the flea market as it stands today. The building that we're looking at is this building right here. So where we went inside was about right here. and we were just walking around all of this, right? So my thought was maybe that was what was left of the building. You can see how it appears that it was once just a straight thing. And so all of this was redone. So my thought was maybe that was that one part, and then the part that came out towards the road, they tore down. And it almost looks like it lines up, maybe kind of whatever, with that postcard that I found. So this is on the corner of 76 and 301. This going down is 301. This is 327 going up. In east of Florence. You could also say it's north of Florence, kind of. That's kind of how they put it. So if you go down 76, back towards, this is downtown Florence over here. This appears to be the original outskirts of Florence, was about right where this road curves, because I can tell that because of how I'm measuring some stuff, right? So if you go from here all the way out to this building that we're looking at, it's about 3.5 miles. Well, it's 3.5 miles, and that's not even from downtown. That's from what appears to be the outskirts of Florence. So on the back of this one that was the Ivy's Motel and Restaurant, it says 2 miles north of Florence, US Highway 301 and 76. So I thought they meant on the corner of 301 and 76, but 301 and 76 run concurrently. They're the same road for a little while. So it could be anywhere on that stretch. So once you figure that out, if you measure from where I was looking at the outskirts and go about 2 miles, you find another motel. So this is the motel that I was thinking about. It's the Ivy's Motel. These are just postcards on eBay, which is actually a good place to find stuff like this. It says air conditioned. And if you look at the cars, that's an early 50s car there. That's a mid 50s car there. That's a mid 50s car there, 56, something like that, right? Same there. Okay, so this picture is probably taken, 56, 57, 58, 59, something like that. And one of the problems with it being the building we're talking about is this little brick wall here, and it appears that this is brick. There's no brick on what we were looking at. It's much cheaper. It's just not built this nice. And then you have the problem where this whole piece must be gone, so they would have had to tear it down. And then the entrance isn't quite far enough back this way, so not positive that that's it, right? So if I look 2 miles, let me just show you this because it's interesting. So you see this building here, and you see how the roof is changed here by this wall. They must have added it or something, and you got this thing on the top. Well, there is another card. This is the same place, but if you see, they've added on to it. So here we go, right? That's probably it. Look, now we've got different roof lines. Look how the roof lines change now. And then it changes again here. So I'm thinking, that might be it. We're on to something, right? Are those the same cars? That's the same car, isn't it? What the hell's going on there? So look, there's an addition to the building. See that white and red car out front? Before the addition of the building to the building, the same car's out front. So it must have been the owner. That's fascinating. All right, so that must be it, right? But if you look on the map, 2 miles down from that turn, you see something else. So in present day Florence, there is the Star Motel. Now, if you looked at the other one, the sign was Ivy's, but it had a big star on it. And look, that's that same building, and that's the little addition. They've just put another roof on it. That's right where the guy's car was parked. That's still where the manager's parking. Might even be the same guy, right? So that is not the Florence Flea Market. That building still exists. It's right there. And so it is about 1.5 miles down the road from the Florence Flea Market. So this is 2 miles, it says on the back of the card, 2 miles outside of Florence. Well, that would put the flea market, if that was a hotel, which it appears to be a motel, it would be 3.5 miles outside of Florence. Well, look at this one. The Camellia Motel. Look how it's built. Look at that. Look at the roof line. Look at the windows. It doesn't quite look right, but it's possible. This is a strong contender here because, I mean, look how the roof line is, right? And this is obviously a drawing. So the Camellia Motel, and look at that, it's on 301 and 76, and at the top here it says 6 miles north of Florence. So if you go out that road, the flea market's 3.5 miles, but that's from the outskirt of town. So from inside town, it's maybe 4.5 or 5 miles. It don't quite line up, but maybe that's it. Maybe they just were being rough with the numbers. Nope. If you go about 6 miles from the outskirt of town, you find this place, which is the original Camellia Motel. So it's still there too. The buildings are still there. You can tell by the roofs. And you can see that all of this stuff has a similar construction to the building we're looking at the flea market. So all of these, they look real similar, but it's not quite right. But it gives you an idea of how things were back then. On the way to the beach, there were all these little motels on the side of the road. They're all over the freaking place. And that is the Camellia. So we can get rid of that card. That can't be these places. All right, so next up we got this beauty. Now look at this place. The Travelers Motel. Once again, it's a long, straight building, right? So it could be our building. And look, it sits back from the road pretty good ways. I don't know if that's long enough, but this is a drawing, right? And a painting or something. And look at this. Look how there's a door all the way on the end of the building. And then look at this. Look at the roof line. It comes down and then it turns the angle, just like ours does. What do you think? This looks pretty solid. It's got the same problem though on the end where there is this L-shaped part that would have had to been torn down. But you saw the condition that building's in, and it's at a flea market. It would take exactly 4 hours to tear down the whole end of that building if you decided that you wanted to get rid of that because the roof collapsed or something, right? So it could be that at some point they tore that down and they turned this into that building that's at the flea market. So this is how it was. Can't really tell a date, but if you look at the back of the card, it says Travelers Motel on Highway 76 and 301, 2.5 miles north of What? We're getting close. Like mine, I think, is about 3.5 miles. The flea market's about 3.5, but maybe that's just what they were saying. So we know that they're a little farther out than the Ivy's Motel is, right? Now look at what it says. A modern motor court, large rooms. Well, maybe we were in one of the small rooms. Tile bath. I didn't see any tile bath. Terrazzo floors. Ooh, didn't see that. 100% air conditioned. Simmons furniture. Room phones. Restaurants nearby. Telephone, blah, 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 right? Okay. So that's what the Travelers Motel looked like for a while there. Same place. Could that be it? Could like this part of it be it? Maybe. So this would have been probably late 60s if you look at the car. That's a late 60s car. That's probably a late 60s car. So they have built a pool right out by the front. You can see the roof is actually looks a little worn now. Eventually it's going to need a metal roof. And if you look at how they built the end of it down here, kind of similar with those with what we were looking at, kind of a cheap roof. I don't know. What do you think? So this one shows the end of that building better, and there's a door, and it's right at the end, right? Right at the end, and then you got a window, and then you got 2 doors. Well, I don't know. Maybe. So it says Mr. and Mrs. Ernest R. McEnemoy, owners and operators. So if you search the land records in Florence, look, folks, this is worth it, okay? Look, there's nothing wrong with me searching the land records in Florence. You see where in 1984, he sold a piece of property on Highway 301 to a gentleman for $140,000. It probably was the hotel, right? And it says it fronts 295 feet on Highway 301 South and had an original western boundary of this, blah, 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 blah. The highway department took part of it. This property is bounded now or formerly as follows. North by Highway 301. That's a real kick in the pants because the flea market is on the north side of Highway 301 and this is bounded on the north by Highway 301. So this can't be it. East by a county road, south by other property, which is separated by a road, and west by South Carolina Highway Department property. So the front of it was 295 feet. Well, if you go half a mile down the street from the Star Hotel, on this corner, which is bounded on the north by Highway 301, on the south by a private road, on the east by a state road, on the west by the Highway Department, and has a fronting that appears to be about 295 feet, there is a Circle K. So Progress got another one. So that can't be our hotel. I'm pretty sure that hotel was right there. Sometimes when stuff like this happens, you can tell by the curb where something originally was. So there is the highway department is over here and there's like an entrance to something here. But at one point there was a road kind of right here beside this property. You can see it on the overhead. And so I think that was actually the entrance to that hotel at one point. I think you went in there and the whole front of the Travelers was right there. All right, so that is right here. So it's telling us on the postcards that's 2 miles. That's 2.5 miles. They're fudging that a little bit. If that's 2, that's not 2.5. If that's 2, 2.5 is about right here. From here to here is about a mile. So this is the Florence Flea Market, and it's 3.5 miles or less, right? It just kind of depends on what you're going by. So it would be 3.5 miles to that building right there. Right, so that was one, that's the Travelers. That's the Ivies, which is now the Star. So I got one more candidate. I don't know if Donnie mentioned to you, but we talked to a young security guard at the flea market, and this guy looked like he was 20 years old. I mean, he's a very young guy. And we said, it's a couple weeks ago, and we said, that building looks like it used to be a hotel, a motel. And the guy said, yeah, I think it was. I heard that it was. And we said, oh, okay. And he's like, yeah, there were more of them. They had them all back through here. Now, this is a young guy. He's only like 20, but he's probably from the area, right? And we're not from the area. We just go down there for the flea market. And he's like, yeah, I think they had them all back through there. So there is this place, the Southern Pines Motel on the same highway, 3 miles north of Florence, South Carolina. And so it looks like out by the road, there was some kind of nicer building, brick building, it says motel. And then behind it, there are these brick buildings that look pretty nice. So surely that's not it, right? Okay, well, here's another one that says Southern Pines Cottage Court. So there was Southern Pines Motel, and now this is called Southern Pines Cottage Court, 3 miles north of Florence on that road. Okay, well, the buildings in the back don't look quite so nice in this one. And again, this is a painting. That's not an actual photo. Okay, so the cottage court says, the slender, graceful Southern Pines keep health abundant, life is prime. So make your plan to spend more time amidst the fragrance of the pines. It's new, it's modern. There are 30 cottages. The security guard said they had hotels all out through here. Steam heat, private showers. Now, Why would you say private showers? That's a weird way of saying we have separate rooms for showers, right? It doesn't say shower in the room, or it doesn't say bath in the room. It says private showers. Now, the building we were looking at looked like it had a separate shower area or something was going on. We couldn't completely figure it out. You saw as good as we could. Inner spring beds. Okay, so I mean, they're bragging about some stuff that's would be taken for granted now, but kind of sounds like it might be in a less expensive hotel. Restaurant nearby, 3 miles north of Florence. All right. So finally I found this. It says Southern Pines Tourist Court. Now that's different from Southern Pines Motel and Southern Pines Cottage Court. And by the way, Southern Pines is not the name of that area or anything. That is the name of the business. So they've called it 3 different things, so maybe there were different things available, right? So it says Southern Pines Tourist Court. And look what we've got. We've got a building here. There's another one here. There's another one there. You can see another one over here. Buildings all out through there, right? It says US Highway 301, 3 miles north of Florence. Okay, well, they're bragging a little bit about their inner springs and their private showers, so maybe they're fudging how far out of town it is a little bit. It's 3.5 miles, but we're just gonna say 3. It ain't that far, folks. Come out and check us out. Okay, so this is the building that they were showing in the one, but look at this one. Now, this is not our building, but look at the rafters. That's pretty plain construction, just like we're seeing on ours. And the windows look similar. The door, it's not the one though, because the doors don't line up right. But that's the best I can figure. Maybe it's the Southern Pines Tourist Court. So if it's 3 miles, it's somewhere between here, which is signified as 2.5 miles, but maybe a little shorter than that, right? And here, which measures at about 3.5 miles. So it would have to be right and through here if it's not the flea market. So this is a overhead from 2019. Okay, that's 2019. And that's 2003. So if we just go back and forth, nothing has really changed. So, you know, we're looking for several cottages out in the woods. If we come down a little bit more, let's see here. Yeah. So the only other place that it could be would be in this area somewhere. A bunch of little cottages out in the woods. This is 2021 or so. This is 2003. And remember, it was right on the road. So I don't see anything that has went away. There is a big elementary school here. So maybe it was here. I don't know. It's hard to tell. There's some mobile home parks and stuff, but there's nothing that looks anything like that we were just looking at on the cards. So it's completely gone, whatever it was, or at least the best I can tell, unless I'm just missing it. Now, if you go over here to the flea market, he said there were buildings all out through there. So this is 2005. It looks pretty much the same. You can see though that right here, this is the place that we always go where we walk the hill, supposedly it's the outside area. There's all these tables out here now. There weren't hardly any back then in 2005. So 20 years ago, the outside maybe wasn't as big of a deal, and they were concentrated on the inside of the flea market. Now this building here is pretty run down now, and everybody in there is kind of regulars, so a lot of people don't even go inside that building, right? These two buildings here are obviously more modern, so it's not them. And the building that we're looking at is this one right here, okay? So that's 2005. We can go back a little bit farther. 2003 is actually a little bit more clear. So the guy's saying there were buildings all out through here. So this is the hotel that we've still got left. None of these other ones, they all look more modern. And there is something out here. We also notice that there's a house over here in the woods that's all dilapidated. So there's something in that area. You can see that home. And then that appears to be a home. And then as time goes on, the outside gets more and more prevalent. The home in the woods here is kind of abandoned, and that thing is drug off. It might have been a mobile home or something. And this building stays here the whole time. So I think that might be part of that Southern Pines motor ends or whatever they call it. So if you have any information about it, leave it down below, or if you can figure out something that I can't, let me know. I'd be thrilled to hear it. Tell me what you think. Hope you enjoyed the video. Hope it wasn't too long and too boring. To me, this stuff is fascinating.